All right, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. We are back. I had to break this thing up because look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I got to recording late, and I wanted to get that first half. I wanted to get that Raw and SmackDown or that SmackDown and Raw recap put out there. So, yeah, I had to do that, and I'm gonna get y'all this top 10 list. Let's just get right to it, man. I've been teasing this for a long time. I actually started doing research on this a long time ago, and I finally just put it together. Also, I will be doing more of these top 10 lists real soon. I already started working on my next two. Will I do them next week? I don't know. It might be the week after. I might do these once a month. I might start doing them. I'm gonna start doing them based on the PLE for the month, depending on what the PLE is. I'm definitely gonna do Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam moments. But this one in particular, I've been working on. It is the top 10 wrestling stories of all time. And this goes to all wrestling, but it's really just WWE and WCW. I didn't put any AEW because I really don't know any of their storylines. Um, TNA, I could have put nope. NWA, the new NWA, I didn't. New Japan stuff, nope. I didn't do any of that. But here we go, man. Let's get to it. Hold on, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb because people love to try to fucking call me. Ooh, I didn't mean to curse. People like to call me when I'm on air or trying to record. It's just something that happened. I'm gonna start with a couple of honorable mentions. Uh, and this is gonna sound funny to a lot of y'all. Now, remind you, this is my list. I'm not saying it's the end all be all list. I'm not saying it's the crescendo list. This is my personal list. If you have a problem with my list, make your own list. Okay? It's easy to sit back and critique people's lists. That's lazy. But you are allowed to make your own list. That's the fun thing about lists. Now let's get to it. These honorable mentions, I am going to start with uh HBK versus Triple H. Y'all remember that feud, Blood Feud 2002, Shawn Michaels coming back. It started with like this feud went for 2 years and had every damn match imaginable. Non-sanctioned fight, Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, 3 stages of hell, triple threat at WrestleMania. Like these dudes beat the ever loving hell out of each other. And I enjoyed every bit of it. The funnest part of this feud for me was Jim Ross calling Triple H everything but Triple H. He just was, oh my God, he hated Triple H. And this was Triple H, reign of terror, Triple H. He was beating everybody ass. This is comeback Shawn Michaels. This is the second act. Shawn Michaels, to me, the best version of Shawn Michaels. He had some of his greatest feuds in this second act. The next one is the rise of the man. Becky Lynch's story. Going into leading up to from the time she got her nose broke to leading up to becoming to unifying both of those women's titles and having a 1 year run and getting pregnant and then going away and coming back and winning the title. Like it was dope. Like but the run leading up to it from her getting her nose broke and those pictures, like that really set something off. That made Becky Lynch the biggest thing in wrestling. She was bigger than everybody, bigger than Seth Rollins, bigger than Roman Reigns, bigger than Randy Orton, bigger than John Cena, bigger than her 4 horsewomen compadres, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Bayley. She was the biggest thing around. That led up to being the first all women's main event in WrestleMania history, which was awesome. Um, I threw Bret and Owen on here. That story, like, that easily could have made. And once y'all hear my top 10, y'all gonna be like, damn, how did he leave these out? But again, this is my list. It's my list. Y'all can make your own list. That's cool. Think about them. But I put Bret Owen here. Like, that was such a. It was. It touched their emotions. The little brothers, probably a lot of the little brothers out there sided with Owen, probably because, like, hey, he's the little brother. Bret's always taking his shine. That WrestleMania 10 match, that opening of WrestleMania 10, is one of the best matches that I've ever seen. It's damn near the perfect match. And it bookended. It was the start of Mania, and it ended with Bret winning the title over Yokozuna in the main event, which I'm still puzzled on why Creative decided to give both of them the shot at the title instead of them two going against each other and then the winner fighting Yokozuna, instead of having Yokozuna, who's the champion, fight twice. I've always been confused by that, but I don't work there. Rock and Austin, the biggest rivalry of the Attitude Era, and I know y'all gonna be like, how did you leave this out of your top 10? It's an honorable mention. This up there. I feel like the 10 that I have here are it. Honestly, I just feel like those 10 are the 10. And the final one, and I just made this change. I literally just made this change before I went on air. Yeselmania is an honorable mention. It gave us one of the best WrestleMania packages we've ever seen. That song, like, I can always watch that because it was so dope. It was so dope, and Daniel Bryan and him getting screwed and them calling him a B+ player, so him beating Triple H, and another one of the best WrestleMania matches ever. It's one of the best opening matches. That was something that they really delivered on. Like, it was another one of those, to me, perfect matches. And for him to beat Randy Orton, who was still at the top of his game, and a returning Batista, and it was supposed to be those two in the main event, which was a bad idea from the jump. Even though if they can say, hey, we called an audible, or this was the plan all along, it is what it is. All right, man, let's get to this top 10 because we're here for a good time and not a long time, and my stomach is growling. Number 10, HBK versus Y2J. This rivalry right here, oh, y'all can remember. I can remember it was one of those Raws when Shawn came back and Jericho came out there, was talking shit to him, talking trash to him. Excuse me. I'm trying not to curse, y'all. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to get monetized here. I won't edit that because it's just one curse word in 9 minutes. But they was talking trash, and Shawn hit him with that that super kick, and he just posed in the ring. He kicked him, and he stopped and he posed like this. It was pretty cool. Like, that set off that feud at WrestleMania 19, I believe, or was it 18? It was 19 at Safeco in Seattle. Again, one of those great matches. Shawn Michaels is the greatest performer ever at WrestleMania. When the lights came on at the big stadium, HBK delivered. Excuse me, I needed some water. Jesus, I got hiccups. This feud also has some crazy moments. And it always seemed to end with Shawn Michaels bleeding or busted open. Number 9, Batista the Beast Unleashed. That feud, this particular feud, him breaking up with Evolution, like the seeds were planted. You can see him like Triple H manipulating them and hearing Triple H saying, "Oh yeah, the big dummy," or we just using him anyway, and he ain't this or he ain't that. Batista with the contracts, and it's like you gonna go over to SmackDown and you gonna take over, and Evolution is gonna have 2 world champions. Y'all gotta pardon me these hiccups. I don't know where the hell these. And Batista didn't sign that contract. And said, "I'm taking your title," which he did. They ran it back. He beat him again, and it ended in Hell in a Cell, where he beat Triple H again. But the story leading up to it, him winning the Rumble, where Vince tore both quads getting in the ring after Batista and Cena busted. Both went out at the same time. Like, it was awesome. Oh man, these hiccups gonna kill me. Number 8, Sting versus the NWO. Y'all remember this? How many guys can have a feud with somebody on screen for damn near a whole year and not say one word? Sting didn't say a word through this whole thing. All he would do was drop down from the rafters, Scorpion Death drop the NWO, hit him with a baseball bat, and dip off. That culminated with him beating Hogan at Starrcade '97. I love that. I love the storyline though, just the impact of it, and just that birthed a new era for Sting. Number 7, y'all listen. Again, this is my list. These hiccups, I'm over this. Number 7 is Cody finishing this story. Now, no, it's fresh. It just happened. But y'all cannot say that this is not what is y'all can't say it's not top. Even if y'all do, y'all can't deny that this is still one of the greatest stories of all time in wrestling. It started. It didn't just start at WrestleMania 30. Cody's story started in 2000 and what was that, 15, 16? When he left, went on the independent scene, tore it up, won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, just like his dad. Got challenged and said, "Hey, I bet you indie guys can't sell out a 10,000 seat arena." They did it. He started a whole new company. And then he left said company, returned to fight a guy that he knowingly didn't get along with, and is known as one of Dusty's kids. His own daddy beat him again, tears his pec, Hell in a Cell match. One of the, oh my goodness, that was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen watching wrestling. He goes away, comes back after being injured, wins the Royal Rumble, loses to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. And then Brock Lesnar. He has to fight Brock Lesnar. Can you imagine? Like, all right, I'm back. My first match, one of my first matches back, and first feuds back, is fighting Roman Reigns. Main event of WrestleMania, big title. I lose that and come out the next night thinking that Brock Lesnar is on my side, only for Brock Lesnar to attack. Then it was, who was it? Shinsuke. And then he comes back to the Royal Rumble. And then there's the threat of CM Punk. Oh, War Games, Judgment Day. After Brock Lesnar, Shinsuke, War Games, Judgment Day. Royal Rumble, CM Punk is back. So now I got the threat of my good friend CM Punk, whom people are very happy to see back in WWE. I got to go through him now. I win the Royal Rumble. I want to fight Roman Reigns, but then here comes The Rock. Takes my opportunity away. I changed my mind. No, this is BS. Now I got to deal with two angry Samoans and their whole damn family. One of my arch enemies has stepped to my side or taken my side and said, hey, you don't have to fight this alone. I know this guy very, very well. So I'm going to help you. Night one, WrestleMania 40, gets beat by The Rock and now has to deal with Bloodline rules. Y'all saw all of that. He finished his story. Great, great story. Number 6, Summer of Punk. Speaking of CM Punk. Y'all cannot deny that. Started with the pipe bomb, which is still one of the greatest moments in wrestling history, not just WWE, but wrestling history. The matches against Cena, Money in the Bank, I believe SummerSlam, Alberto Del Rio, like this jump started Punk winning the championship and having a nice long run, which was 414 days, and it was stopped by, guess, The Rock. Number 5, Austin and McMahon. Now, there's another reason why Rock versus Austin isn't in this top 10, because Austin McMahon is that much higher. At this point in time, like, we could see the rise of Stone Cold. We could see it coming. He broke his neck at SummerSlam 97. And that's, well, let me see. No, it really started with the submission match and the blood coming down his face, like the rise of Stone Cold. But you fast forward to SummerSlam 97, Owen power drivers him and breaks his neck or jams his neck, and he starts stunnering people, all just stunnering people, just hitting people with Stone Cold Stunner. It was his good friend Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler. He finally stuns Vince McMahon, wins the Royal Rumble. Was that 90? Yeah, he won the Royal Rumble in 97. That was the Brett Bash. Then he wins again back to back in 98. and wins the WWE Championship. And Vince McMahon was not happy. Vince McMahon didn't like it. This is by this time, Vince McMahon is full blown Mr. McMahon or turning into Mr. McMahon and saying we're not having this shit. No, absolutely not. Damn, cursed again. And this is the Attitude Era. Full blown. Like Vince McMahon did everything in his power to make sure that Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't stay champion, but Stone Cold always found a way to stay champion. Stone Cold tore up Vince's cars. He drove a Zamboni to the ring and sprayed him with beer. McMahon fired Stone Cold, and then Stone Cold kidnapped Vince McMahon and made him pee on himself in the ring. Vince McMahon broke his foot, and Stone Cold beat his ass in the hospital. Bopped him over the head with a bedpan, which is one of those funny moments. Like Stone Cold was just beating. Stone Cold, it got to a point where Stone Cold just beat ass. And he did all that, and Stone Cold ended up joining them. But this storyline was always fire. Getting down to the nitty gritty. Top 4. Number 4. The Mega Powers Explode. I know y'all remember this one. This was one of, I'm not going to call it controversial, but this is one of those storylines that as a kid, you're watching it and you're like, oh, as a kid and as a Hulkamaniac, Hulk Hogan could do no wrong. But as you grow up, you realize in this whole situation, like Hulk Hogan was the bad guy. You're messing with this man's wife or messing with this man's woman. Like the promos, the touching, like some of the little subtle things. You guys are in the middle of a match. A tag team match. And she gets hurt by him. But you pick her up and you take her to the back? What? Now that I'm a grown man, now that I'm 41 years old, I 100% understand why Macho Man Randy Savage did what he did. And I'm not mad at him for doing what he did. Not in the least bit. I'm not. Like, you deserved to do that, Macho. That led to WrestleMania 5, a great match, like great. Just everything about this feud was great. Like those guys getting together in one of the greatest promos ever, where it seemed like the Booger Sugar was at its purest with those two. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage together as a team was so awesome. And then this feud continued after WrestleMania 5 when Macho Man went out and got the one dude, or a big scary dude that goes by the name of Zeus, for the movie No Holds, from the movie No Holds Barred. Like, it was good promo for the movie and bringing in Zeus, aka Tiny Lister. God rest his soul, rest in peace. Tiny Lister, aka Debo. But this feud, like, just looking at like the story, they only really had one singles match against each other, but like the other stuff, and then you got Elizabeth and the sensational Sherry. Macho Man became the Macho King after that. This feud really ended when Elizabeth took Macho back, but like it was, it's still one of those ones. Number 3. New World Order. The NWO. I ain't gonna lie. I've always been team WWF/E. I am a WWF WWE lifer. During the Monday Night Wars, I was team Raw. But finding out that Hulk Hogan was a bad guy and turned into a bad guy and had linked up with Razor Ramon and Diesel, who, y'all know what it was. Y'all know what it is. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. But Hulk Hogan linking up with Razor Ramon and Diesel. Yo, it was. I'm not talking about the finger poke of doom and all of the later stuff. I am talking about June of 1996 or May of 19, or just that portion of from 96 to about maybe the summer of 97, maybe the end of 97. Or just the beginning part of the NWO. This storyline was great. Started with Scott Hall, rest in peace. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. And everybody's wondering. It's like, yo, these dudes, like, what's happening here? Like, it really just seemed like they just put up on TV and said, hey, we on y'all ass. Kevin Nash throwing Eric Bischoff through a table, and then Eric Bischoff ends up joining them, and then here comes the $1 Million Man. They was calling him billionaire, trillionaire Ted at that time. That was just a play off of the billionaire Ted skits that WWE was doing at the time. Virgil came in. They named him Vince. It was kind of like a rib. It was just like little subtle wrestling things. But the early NWO was the shiznle. They had their own pay-per-view sold out, which I didn't like the way they booked it. But y'all can't tell me this storyline didn't hit. All right, number 2, Undertaker and Kane. For the longest time, this Undertaker and Kane thing was the greatest wrestling story ever told. Paul Bearer introduces, this is what, 95, 96? After Paul Bearer turns on The Undertaker for Mankind, for Mick Foley. The Undertaker started beating his ass. It was just like a lot of stuff going on. And Paul Bearer explained, like, he said it, Kane is still alive. Like, Undertaker was about to choke him out. He was like, Kane is still alive. He's still alive. He's still alive. And everybody's wondering, like, who the hell is Kane? Like, some wrestling fans, like a lot of us, or some knew that when The Undertaker originally debuted, they called him Kane the Undertaker, and they just dropped the Kane and just called him the Undertaker. Like, it's some old WWE videos that has that on there. Good luck finding them. I don't think they're on the Peacock stuff. You might be lucky to catch it on YouTube. But he was known as Kane the Undertaker, but they dropped it. But it was like, we bring Kane. And Paul Bearer tells this story of them working at their funeral parlor and a fire starting, and saying that the Undertaker started this fire that killed his parents and killed his little brother Kane. So this is heavy on the Undertaker's heart. Meanwhile, he's winning the WWE Championship. He loses the championship to Bret Hart thanks to Shawn Michaels. So now he's hell-bent on kicking Shawn Michaels' ass, and they meet in a match in the very first Hell in a Cell. I think it was called Hell in the Cell. That might be a wrestling Mandela effect. But I believe it was called Hell in the Cell. The first ones. Just go look on Peacock and watch that stuff back and see what it says. They might have changed, but that could be the WWE Mandela. And it was the debut of Kane. And y'all remember that. Undertaker wouldn't fight him for the longest. And he picks the most opportune time. WrestleMania. Don't y'all think that is funny? All right, man, I'll fight you now, but it's going to be at WrestleMania. They had Inferno matches. They had casket matches. They had Hell in a Cell matches. It ended, they ended up teaming up together, and then Kane turning on him again after he became the American Badass. They buried the American Badass. He came back as the Dead Man at another WrestleMania and beat Kane. But like at first, this feud was Undertaker winning, Undertaker winning, Undertaker winning. It's like, all right, in order for this to be a feud, Kane has to win. So Kane did get a couple of wins over the Undertaker. But just go and look at this story. Like the story of this, it was the greatest wrestling story ever told. Shout out to the Undertaker and Kane. And finally, the number one wrestling story of all time. And I think y'all should know, I didn't telegraph this. And I ain't gonna hold y'all. I fought with this for a minute. Like I was gonna put Undertaker, Kane there and thought about the end. Like the top four were really like, all right, where can I put? At one point in time, I had to make a Powers Explode up there. At another point, I had Undertaker and Kane up there. At another point, I had the NWO up there. But ultimately, it ended up with the number one storyline in wrestling history being the Bloodline. Hello, duh. And I wore the NWO shirt because it's the first shirt I pulled out the closet. But this Bloodline storyline, they've telegraphed this. I talked about it earlier. This storyline was going to happen. Some things I don't know if it would have, like, I don't know how it would have turned out had Jimmy not gotten injured and Roman had not decided to sit out WrestleMania 37 or 36 in Tampa, the pandemic performance center, no fans, the COVID WrestleMania. But they were building towards that because early on, like early 2020, late 2019, the Usos were coming and helping Roman in a lot of his fights. He was getting jumped, and the Usos were there to rescue him. So when he comes back at SummerSlam, he comes back with Paul Heyman, wins the championship at the next pay-per-view, which was a week later, which still makes me laugh to this day. Jey Uso proceeds to win a number one contenders match, and then Roman just goes full-blown badass for 4 years. He beat the dog out of Jey. He choked Jimmy out and made Jey quit. Eventually, Jey joined him. Eventually, Jimmy joined him. They Roman unified the titles. Jimmy and Jey won tag team championships, and then they won the other tag team championships. So they were walking around with all of the gold. But damn near a year. Sami Zayn joins them, and that story takes the hugest leap. He brought comedy. He brought the guy, like the Feeling Uzi promo is still one of the funniest things to ever take place. And I'm only talking, like, this is like we'll say act one is like the Thunderdome with just him and Jey, and then bringing Jimmy in and them unifying the titles. Act two is bringing Sami in and going to War Games and him turning on Kevin Owens once and for all, and Jey officially embracing Sami. Act three, I believe, would start with the Royal Rumble, and Sam, or close to that, when you could see that they were trying to kick Sammy out or trying to turn on Sammy, or Roman was just sick of Sammy because they started losing and things started. It started with the tag match where they lost to Cena and KO, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Not to mention Solo was in the fold. Now the Elder sent him, blah blah blah. That Royal Rumble turn is really what made this story go crazy. And then it leads to WrestleMania 39, and that closes out that chapter of the Bloodline story. That alone is by itself great. Not to mention everything post WrestleMania 39. After losing the titles, Jimmy kicking Roman, breaking them up. Bloodline Civil War. Jay quitting. Jimmy coming back after being kicked out. Again, Bloodline Civil War. Jay pinning Roman for the first time in however long. Him getting the single match at SummerSlam. Jimmy turning on Jay and costing him the championship. And then there's The Rock, adding another layer to this story. Jimmy versus Jay at Mania. The whole Bloodline Rules match. Roman goes away. That's another act. Solo takes over, brings in the Tongans, brings in Jacob Fatu. All in Roman's absence, Roman comes back. Now we know Jimmy's coming back. We know eventually where you see Jimmy, you're going to see Jay. Jimmy and Jay still love each other. They are twins. They are down since day one. Sammy's going to be a part of that. And then there's going to be a time where the final boss is going to pop back up. We are going to get a Bloodline Civil War in War Game with Solo, Jacob, and the Tongans against Roman, the Usos, and probably Sammy. I'm not expecting Zilla Fatu anytime soon. He's got time. We can go another year without him. It'll be okay. But that storyline, again, let me recap these. Number 10, HBK versus Y2J. 9, The Beast Unleashed Batista. 8, Sting versus the NWO. 7, Cody finishes the story. 6, Summer of Punk. 5, Austin versus McMahon. 4, the Mega Powers explode. 3, the NWO. 2, Undertaker versus Kane. 1, the Bloodline. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my top 10 list. Thank you guys for tuning in to both parts of this episode. I had to split them up. I'm probably never going to do that again. But I had to split these up because I started recording late. And I was like, all right, let me get this part on and get this out of the way so I can give these guys this. So, again, man, thank you guys for tuning in to this is episode 2.5. We'll just call it 2.5. It's not episode 3. That was the top 10 wrestling storylines. I do have other ones. I have a top 10 what ifs in wrestling. It could be matches, it could be wrestlers, it could be whatever. I'm working on that list. I'm not even gonna guarantee you that for next week. I'll just table it. Make sure y'all tune in next week for Tuesday night's main event. I will be back. Make sure y'all tune in to Club Pizzle this Thursday. I got some things to talk about. Jimmy World might be in flux. Y'all don't give a shit about that. My wrestling fans don't care about that. Just tune in to Club Pizzle Thursday. That's it, man. Deuces.